So we're recording. This is our week 4. We're talking about making technical drawings, and by that we mean that it's a complete drawing. It's got the objects drawn, but it's also got a title block, dimensions, and annotations. And the dimensions and annotations are presented per the industry standard that goes with that drawing. And so you just have a wide range of drawings so that you can just play with that. Now, it is a little bit of a short week. If you don't get them all done, I'm not going to have a cow if there's one or two because, Sunday is a holiday. It's not officially a holiday for the school, but it's always been my thing that when the holiday actually is and the observed day, I should do my best to make sure that students are not burdened with work. You should have your opportunity to visit family, especially now that many of us are allowed to visit family, and do the celebrations that are appropriate for what you'd like to do. So, although I did not change the due date is July 4th. I'm hoping that everybody turns stuff in sometime on the 3rd, and then they take the 4th off. And if they didn't get everything done, that's all right. You'll have more time to get it done later, so long as you have something turned in. And then the 5th is our official college closed day. So even though things will be posted again, I am hoping that people will take that opportunity to do some sort of a thing that's more in their own interest rather than focus on schoolwork. So if you're not able to get all the drawings done, that's okay. But I'm going to go through them, and they're not too bad. And it's just really good practice. And we'll do complete drawings. There is a YouTube list. I've got one thing in there now. And I've got another one to put in there for people that are working on VMware. There's no just practice files. Just get the stuff done this week. That's enough. There are 2 collaboration works to do. There's a production one, which, I guess I got to log in to get to that. It's the same thing. Here's another drawing. This one's civil, and it should bring about many questions because most of us have never worked with a civil drawing. And, like when you hear SWA pa 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 details, what in the world is a SWA pa 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 pa? And why is it so important that it gets its own drawing with BMPs and CTSGRT and stabilized construction? There's a lot of stuff on here that's just kind of weird. And so this drawing might give you some things to look at, and have plenty of questions. Sure, that would be a good idea. I totally need to share my screen. My apologies. You can tell I'm out of practice here. So here we go. This is, now I'm sharing my screen. And so this is the discussion, the SWA-pa-pa-pa, all sorts of funny annotations, a weird little symbol, which you can probably guess, and things like that. But there we go. So there's that one. And then the other discussion is a workplace skills. And this, we're actually trying to get a class set so we don't have to take up our time with this in these classes. But it's really important that you match your skills to different job descriptions. And that can be really hard. You have to get good at reading them. But it is what gets you past the HR wonk into the interview, and hopefully to the point where they sit down and have you draw. So here's a job description. I went on to Indeed.com on Friday and pulled this. I've edited it a little bit because it was a little wordy and had a little too much stuff. But this is a real job that's on Indeed.com right now. And then for one item, well, I want you to align things that have to do with CAD. So a driver's license doesn't have to do with CAD, and sales experience probably doesn't. But 2D drawings, well, pricing out projects, that's usually from CAD. Detailed projects, proposals, that so you can go through here and kind of highlight which ones have to do with CAD, and then pick one and show me something you've done that sort of you could use as evidence in a portfolio that you've got that skill. Okay, and then in a video, explain as if you were in an interview what your level of comfort is. Whether you've mastered it, it's like, oh, I've been doing this for years, I don't even have to look anymore. Or you're experienced and you can really do it, but you might need a few things to find out what their standards are. Knowledgeable means that you can do it, you've got the basics down, but there might be some particulars that you need a bunch of help with to get efficient. And then unfamiliar is you would need significant training. So it's very short and very sweet, but it's like, okay, you're in an interview, they're saying, show me your work with this skill. You pop something out there and describe your level of comfort. And this is a fun practice, and you should always be practicing things like this. You never know when a job interview might hit, and you want to quickly pull your drawings together that align with it, and then be able to speak to it in some terms. I use these ones. You can use others, but these are the ones I'd like to see. So this one's really kind of cool. And then we've got your resource template, your submittal template. We've got a couple of little mechanical drawings, and you do front, top dimensions and title block. It says what to do on each one. So there's 1, 2, 3 mechanical that I think I'll get done this morning if I don't jabber along too much. There's an electronics and 2 architecturals. There's a civil, an interior, and a landscape. And the landscape is a tracing. And this one is just your rectangles again. So many of these hopefully will take you a half an hour to an hour to do, and then pop your work here. A couple of them a little bit longer maybe. Aside from that, I've made for you a resource file. This is a template file. It has, for this class, at least for this week, all of the layers, the title blocks, the dim styles, the line types. It's got everything that you might need to do this week's work to set your industry standards. So you'll need to download that and have it open. I'll show you that in a moment. And then these are large, they're PNGs of each of the plates. I'm going to try to get through these 3 today. And there's actually 2 that file. So there we go, and the submit to Canvas. So with that, let me go to VMware. You can see I've got all of that stuff ready, and I've even done a bunch of them, but I'll do them over again. There's that resource file, and here's my AutoCAD, and I have opened the resource file to get ready to go. So here we go. I'm going to just do plate number 1, and I'll do it in a manner. There are so many ways you can go about doing this, but I'll just do it in some manner. And usually I do it not necessarily the most efficient way that I can think of, but in the way that allows me to show you the most tools that you could possibly use. So just know that you might have some very good, methodologies that you've already been taught, but I'm going to try to incorporate many of the commands that you've already learned. So here we go. I'm going to start a new drawing, and I'm actually going to stop the recording and restart so I have a recording of plate 1. So the external references, somewhere one of those things had a reference to another drawing. I don't even know what it was, so you can just ignore that totally. Somewhere along the line there was and you'll learn about external references in 302 and 328 and some of these other ones. There are ways to put a different way to pull things into your drawing, and somewhere one of those got hooked into here, and I don't know where it is, and I haven't bothered to purge everything. So that's what that external reference thing is. So here we go. I'm going to start, and I've got myself pretty well set up. And so the first thing I do is I know that this is going to be, I've looked at it, and so I'm going to just give myself a frame to work in. That sort of sizes this whole big area for me. That's my A size sheet. Okay, and so now I can go and I can actually just put that plate -1 right in there, and kind of, now I've got it as a reference that I can just use instead of going back and forth all the time. So I like to do that, personal preference. Now I see it's mechanical, so I can start thinking mechanical. The thing to know ahead of time is this is plotted monochrome. That's an industry standard. So my layers as I'm drawing might look different than this, and I will then plot it monochrome. I don't need this. I don't need this little rev, and I don't need this. So here I go. So I see I need, from my design center in my layers, border, center, construction. I use construction sometimes. So I need all these. I'm just going to hold my mouse, left click down, bring it over, and now those are in my drawing. That's so cool. Okay, so here I go. I'm going to go ahead and get started. I do the construction layer because I notice that I have a rectangle. So I can draw a rectangle that is 3.75 by 2. And then this other rectangle is 2 by, I think it's 1.85. And I see this other one is a little bit closer to the top. So I'm trying to lay them out sort of like where they are. And that means that this is 1.85 tall by 2. So I can make this one too, because I remember that orthographic stuff. So that's a personal preference. Everything's lined up. That tells me where I'm going to draw. So, okay, cool. That's good. There's a few things I can do, but I'm just going to start drawing in a particular way, and I'm going to turn my line weights on, and I'll start drawing stuff I know. I know there's a line that goes in this direction too, and then it comes all the way down here, but not quite all the way down there, because that goes up 0.4, and this one comes down 0.4, and this one offsets over 0.4. So that sort of set a lot of that for me. And I happen to use grips a lot. So I'm using my grips to trim it up, but I could also do a nice little fillet right here. Isn't that a cool tool? and then I can just click my ends. So I have that kind of Z thing. And then up here to get this one, I notice that it's the projection of my 0.4 chamfer. So I can just do an offset of 0.4. And I can, get out of there. Try that again. Offset 0.4. There we go. And I think I've got myself set. I'll set myself right on 45 degrees. And I can just keep going down this way until I hit. So that's my 45-degree angle. That was this thing. Now this one, I don't know exactly where it is, except it hooks in right where that is. So I have to draw the top part first. So let me go ahead and draw the top part. And I could have used the polygon command. So my snap on that one was, this, are you talking about this little snap down here? How did I get that to snap? Okay. That's this button. Show snapping reference line. And then it'll pick these snaps that you've got set, and it'll run down. And if you don't, just go past it and trim it. Right? I mean, a lot of times I forget to turn that on, and I just go past it and trim it. And I'll do that maybe with my next one. Well, I can't do it with the next one. But this one I'm going to use chamfer just for fun. So I'm going to do a chamfer based on distances of 0.4 and 0.4, and I can chamfer those two and chamfer those. And so that's another cool way to do that one. Now I got some interesting stuff. There's a few ways that I can go about doing this. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a lot of offset command because we practiced it. So I see an offset of 0.4 here and here and here. And I see, and let me clean that one up. Well, let's see. I want to clean. First of all, I just did that wrong. So now let me do my offset of 0.6. Now I can start trimming stuff away. I can trim that away, and that away, and that, and that, and that. Oh, that's kind of cool. And if I wanted to, I could mirror that, but I'm more of a trimmer person. Personally, I trim a lot. And then there's an offset of 0.8, where this comes back 0.8. And I'm just grabbing that snap and dragging it down. Now I can trim again. So I kind of got that set, but now I see a couple more lines, right? You can see that that's coming along, but this line is not dimensioned, so I see that it's the projection of my other line. That's kind of a neato thing. And then these lines, these hidden lines, are the projections of these two lines. So I can do my hidden line And see, I've got that object snapping set. So it'll go down and find those a little bit easier. I could always just draw my line. And now I got a couple of weird things to do. So I see that this thing goes from corner to corner. I'll go from corner to corner. Okay, so I got this view done, and notice that doesn't really match up over here. And now I got a few more weird lines over here to do, and it says that there's one. I'm gonna make a construction line here. That line I just drew is the back line of this. And then if I do an offset of 0.8, oh, got it. And then that has to extend all the way. And then that can offset 0.4. So you see I'm doing a lot of the offset command because that was one that we practiced. A lot of offset and a lot of trim. And now I'm just having to always work on the right layer, which I don't always do. And then the other side, so there, I've got my top view and I have my front view. So now I've just got this one to go. Let's just see what I can do there. So I see that it goes all the way around that box. And here's one way that you can do this. Draw all the way across and then trim. That's pretty common way to do it. You know you got it right if you did that one. Okay, then this line is looking this direction at this line. So it's 0.6 offset 0.6. Now, some people do a very cool 45-degree transfer down, but we in general don't teach that a lot in ours because we move on to solid modeling so quickly that it's really not a super useful tool for us. Now, there's one that's actually offset 0.4. Uh-oh, did I do that? 0.4? I did those ones wrong. Shame on me. There we go. Now I can do my offset of 0.4. Trim those little things. And then turn these ones into the hidden lines. See how I'm always drawing too much and then getting rid of stuff. There we go. And now the only thing that I think I have left is this thing. Now, I'll use the construction line again. Just a line that I'm going to get rid of later on. It goes 0.2 either way. And now I got too much on there, so I can just do my light bulb. There we go. Now I'm just looking at the way this is laid out, and I think I have to move this over some. I have to make sure I move it over straight. That looks pretty good. There we go. So I've got all this drawn. Got my shapes. Now I'll go back and look and see if it's right, but I'm going to delete that now. And I need a mechanical layout. Where do I get a mechanical layout? Mechanical A size. Just drag it in and it appears. Now here's the part I haven't really shown you yet, so this is new. I'm going to go to my def points layer. It doesn't have to be, but when I'm on a layout, this layout tool comes up. I'm going to click on it, and I want to make a rectangular layout. And in this case, I'll make it equal to that. There we go. I'm going to change that to 1 equals 1. And just move it in. Now, how did I do that? Click, 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 click. When you're in the model, the scale comes up and you just change it to 1 to 1. Just common. Okay, annotations. Now, I saw, let me come back. I think I need that reference in here again. How did I load the layers from the... Okay, so let's go through how to use that resource file again. Type D, and I think I did a thing on this, but I'm not sure. I'm going to get rid of the resource of the design center really quick. So I've got the resource file open. Now I've got my other one open. I type DC for design center. And then the design center comes up and I say, look at my open drawings. Click on the drawing that's open, and then all the stuff that's in that drawing is available for you to use. So I went to layers. I just selected the ones that I wanted and I just dragged them in. Literally, you just drag them in. So I'm going to do the same thing with a dim style now. I see here are a bunch of dim styles in my resource file in the design center, and I see that all of these are 2 decimal places, and it's mechanical, and there it is. So if I drag that into my file and I go to my annotate dimensions, well, there it is. It's in there now. It is so cool. And it even says, what layer do you always want to put your dimensions on? I want to put them on the dimension layer. So now I'm ready to go. Now the important thing, it's kind of important, not super important, is that I'm on my piece of paper so that my model stays kind of clean. Okay. So here I go. I'm going to start doing this thing now. So on my dimension tab, I see a bunch of linear dimensions. That's horizontal or vertical dimensions. So I'll just start putting some in here. Uh-oh. I did something wrong when I drew that. I moved something on accident. Okay. Oh, well, I'm not on my standard dimension either. Or not on my mechanical. So I didn't draw it super carefully, but I came close. And I like to get things kind of clean looking. Now, notice that ours has a 0 in front of it. It may not line up exactly like it shows because we're using a slightly different dim style. So just put them somewhere nice looking. So I can see something's going to have to move a little bit. This is a little bit too crunched up. Okay, I should have moved this thing up a little bit, and I can do that right from here. That's what's cool about layouts. Now I can get this one in here, and I can see that's going to have to hit over to the other side. I can just drag it over. Another linear dimension is from here to here. And that's really ugly looking. So this is going to have to come to the outside. See how much cleaner that looks? And then I've got one from here to here. And so on and so forth. And I'm using my snaps to try to line everything up as nicely as I can. It's got to move over just a little bit. It's a little bit too crunched up there. You can just make things look good. Oh, and I got a couple more over here to do and a couple more down. Oh, let's do an angular one. Angular between these two lines. That one. I have another dimension down here to get. And I think there's another dimension over here. Now, if I can, I'll line this up with one of these. If I can. I can't always. Sometimes I can. Sometimes I can't. Let's see if that one will get down inside of there. It did. I think I'm going to bring it. Yeah, I'll put it right there. And so see, it doesn't look exactly like that, but this is a little bit cleaner. So there we go. I've got it now. And so now I double click, and this is called bracket. Double click. Make sure you get rid of everything. R Schuster. Click. I called this, oh, this is going to be plate 1B because it's the second one I'm doing. I better save this thing. File. Save. Plate 1. Here we go. And I got to look and see what my plot scale is. So if I click on the viewport, it tells me it was 1:1. So I plot at 1. What is my viewport scale actually? And today is 06-29-21, sheet 1 away. So there we go. Got it. And now I can get rid of that. Now, to make sure you've got everything right, you want to look at your plot. And I'm going to bet I forgot to put that on the def points layer. See, that's going to show up. I don't want it to show up. There's this thing called the def points layer. So I did that. So let's see if I'm on Mech A and I go up to my little print button or print. And I'm just going to plot. Yeah, I know. Single sheet, default paper size. And it comes up with Adobe, letter size. I'm going to print my layout. but I want monochrome. There we go. And I always preview it to make sure I'm okay. Well, that's not too bad, right? You could even zoom. Now look how good your snip can be for your, oh, preview that again. When you're going to do a snip, now you've got a nice large part of your screen if you want to take a snip. For your drawing. Now you got a pretty nice drawing. And that's all that really needs to go on there. That's what you're going to put in your portfolio. So I'm going to go ahead and save this one. I plotted it as monochrome. So let me go ahead and, yes, when you put it on your, when you put it, and so that's what it looks like as a PDF. So let me do my print command again. Here's another cool thing. You can always say, go to the last one that you remember. And so I did monochrome up here. And since we're talking about industry standards, that is the most common, that you're always going to plot monochrome. Some plot grayscale. And it depends. I mean, if you have a drawing that has color coding on it, obviously you're going to use this ACAD CTB is sort of like the 256 color. DWF virtual pens defaults everything to the nearest 8 pen colors and so on and so forth. Okay. But you could literally just take that print preview. If you want to show it like this, that's not bad, but it's not quite as professional looking as your full print, where I'm seeing the viewport and all that stuff. Okay, so that one took me a little bit longer than I was looking for, but that's okay. If I don't get through all 3 of these in this session, I'll go ahead and do them in the highlights.